I do have to, a couple things, housekeeping items. One, a listener called me out for not introducing Jamie East on our Enneagram podcast.
Oh.
And he was like, well, you said her name. But so anyways, Jamie is a former missionary. She is a former educator. She was the assistant principal at Airline High School. And now she's the missions, she's involved in missions here and through our church. And so, yeah, that's what she does.
So welcome, Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie. Jamie, there's your proper introduction. So if you, so you had to listen to this episode, then go back and start the Enneagram for the proper introduction. Second thing, I do think we have a new record for youngest listener, regular listener, and that'd be Grayson Stockton. So anyways,
tell me about Grayson.
Grayson goes to our church. Yeah,
Okay.
Helps out with the audio, but he's into it. He plays in the marching band at Benton High School, plays percussion.
So what is he like senior or what?
He'd be a sophomore. Yeah, he's Carter's age. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
so
that's what
really
I'm saying,
getting
man.
a head start.
We're really getting this. Yeah. So it's funny because I was in we go do takeout at Silver Star every Thursday, most Thursdays, and I was in there last week, and Damon came out and said, hey, the episode's coming out next week. I gave you a shout out, and the girls were there. I said, I gave you all a shout out, and I mentioned something about work, and one of the girls, she's a senior at Benton, she was like, oh, you actually have a job? You work? I thought that you just, we're
we're an
influencer. Yeah, huge influencer here.
I thought that was it.
Making lots of money influencing.
And to be fair, this is our second act, right? Like once our business days are done, we're just going to go full time.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Podcasting and entertaining.
Here we go.
On tour, probably.
Yeah.
Just a big van.
Yes, let's do it.
Me and you. That's right. Our wives would love it.
A variety show. Play a little music. Play a little music. Talk a little business.
Come on, because think about it. Like, if you had to come home today and your wife was there, she would get frustrated really fast.
Yes.
Right? She would be like, why are you here?
Yes.
I need you to leave.
Yeah.
Go do something.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so this is a perfect plan.
Hey.
We're going on tour. That's right.
Hey, I mean, we get a tour bus.
Well, you don't need a bus. Just one of those nice Sprinter vans.
Yes.
Okay? Those are great.
Those are great.
Yeah, we never made it to the Sprinter, but that was like the next level.
Y'all were just the 12-passenger Chevy.
12 passenger. You take
Cargo.
the back seat out. Okay?
And
then you put a mattress.
Oh, yes.
You just lay that mattress in there.
Yes.
Bonus points if you can, in between the two driver's seats,
Yeah.
you lay down on the floor and stick your feet back through the benches.
Yes.
That's a great sleeping spot. Now, listen, you're a little confined. And that probably wouldn't work for you, to be fair.
Yes. Well, I had to have an MRI done the other day and had a full-blown panic attack. So, yeah, probably not.
Probably not. We'll put you on the mattress in the back.
Is that where you go when you get mad?
Huh?
Guys, I've had it. I'm going to the back.
I need some fresh air.
I need some space.
And listen, it's not fresh air. Believe me, it's
Not
a
fresh
terrible
air.
smell. It's a terrible smell.
And those windows, just the front, the back windows don't roll down.
No,
they pop out. Maybe they pop out a little, or no window.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So, look, van life coming back for me.
Van life.
Touring.
We are touring. I like
Coming
it.
soon.
I like it. And we can go hit up. Yeah, we can do the Cracker Barrels. Maybe go to all the Cracker Barrels.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
I think that's where we're broadcasting live from, the Cracker Barrel.
with the rocking chairs out front.
That's right. That'd be a great setup.
Okay, cool.
All right, so you wanted to talk about something, and you threw it at me.
We like to. I think that one of the things through when I'm teaching, or if I'm kind of walking through something with my. The people in my company, the staff, whatever it is, it really reflects what I'm going through, right? And so if I'm learning or I'm going through something or I have a new perspective on something, I'm like, well, hey, I want to share this with the guys when I meet with them next, right? Or next time I teach. And so through coaching with Aaron, this was a module, if you will, that he uses that really talks about where our confidence comes from, right? And I think that, one of the reasons we, do not take action is because we have fear, right? And one of the reasons we have fear is a lack of confidence. And so he kind of has this thing where it's three different types of confidence. And anyways, it's just really, really good for me and some self-awareness and reminding myself. And I've been teaching that the last few weeks when I was in front of my people, just talking about that. So I was like, this would be a great thing to discuss. So
we're talking confidence.
Yeah, where's our confidence? So on his module, there's three types of confidence, and the first one would be a false confidence. Okay. False confidence would be not knowing what you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. It is, taking the business or taking the account and, talking yourself up. And, I see this a lot with, especially in sales, it's where some companies, some real estate companies specifically, will train. Their training is really mind tricks is what it is, right? The training's not, hey, here's how you go and deal with a client or negotiate a contract, right? Their training is, oh, you're just great. You're a millionaire. You just don't have the $1 million yet, right? And it's kind of I like to say that these people when you are propped up on false confidence, I use the analogy of a wrecking ball, right? Because there's a whole lot of momentum and you can do a lot of sales, but there's a wake of destruction that you leave from where you've been, right?
Well, what I wanted to ask you before we even get into this is that how important is confidence? Because I've got kind of two angles that I look down on this word confidence for, but I want to ask you, like, why is confidence even important?
Well, I think that the opposite of confidence is if you're not leading or leading with confidence, then you're leading with worry, right? And I feel like there are a lot of people that live lives, especially in business, just worried, right? Yeah. And I know it when I'm in a place of worry. I mean, I can identify things, but like, it's just like, all right, I joke about it, but it's so true. Is I'm like, all right, a phone call comes in. I'm like, well, this is about to be bad news, right? Or maybe the phone doesn't even ring. I'm just like, well, the phone's going to ring at some point today. I don't know who it's going to be, but it's going to be bad news, right? Yep. And you kind of live in this worry state.
That's right.
And I feel like that paralyzes you from taking risk, from growing, from making difficult decisions, right? So when I'm in this state, I just avoid, I withdraw. I don't press into the problem. I withdraw. I don't even want to engage in whatever the problem is,
So it sounds like what you're saying is that the reason why confidence is important, particularly for a leader, is that there's people are going to feed off your energy. Mm-hmm. And so if you're coming into a space completely worried, completely doubting your abilities, completely doubting your team's abilities or your mission or whatever it is, that's going to permeate the entire organization. Everybody's going to feed off that. And then secondly, it's just a hard way to live, right? It's a hard way to live to be in this space where you feel this way all the time.
Yes.
I was listening to something about memory because I think my memory's all going away. And one of the things that I heard is that, memory is designed to do some things to take care of us. Some of the things you forget are because your brain is basically saying, you don't need that. You cannot live with that. That bad review cannot live at the forefront of your brain the entire time. All the bad news that you're talking about you're getting can't live in the forefront of your brain. You have to forget some of those things. Yeah. Because if you don't forget them, you'll go nuts. Yeah. You'll go absolutely nuts.
Yeah. I was just listening to somebody talk about how, not to be political, but talking about how Trump has this ability to do just that.
Yes.
It literally gets his ear shot off.
Forget it.
And then and the next day he's just, giving a speech and doesn't even mention it. Right. Hardly, right? And the point this guy was making was looking at how presidents age. You look at Obama before and after 8 years.
That's right.
I mean, he put 40 years on his life. But then you look at Trump and he did not age. like other presidents have.
Uh-huh.
And he just has that ability to, you're right, out with the bad, in with the good, and just kind of not let that take over. And it really, and I use the word paralyzing, because
Yes.
it really is paralyzing. It
Yes.
literally leads to inaction. And you know, when you're just living in a worried state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And so my second angle on the confidence piece, and we're going to go through this as someone who is growing and gaining in confidence.
Yep.
But I know that you've met people in business that you think, that's the most sure of themselves person I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
Like, that person just walks out of bed and just goes, this is who I am, this is what I do, and if you don't, like, get out of my way.
Yeah.
And you see people like that, and I sometimes like look at them and go, wow, that's pretty cool. I kind of wish I could be that way.
Yeah.
But then I think that there's some blinders that come with just this overconfidence, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah. What's funny is last week we had our monthly sales training with our company with the real estate agents, and I talked about this, right? I gave this talk about confidence, and you know, when I was building tension, I was just going through what it looks like when I'm unhealthy versus healthy. And this was one of the points was, you know, when I'm healthy, I'm leading with confidence. When I'm unhealthy, I'm leading with worry. Right. And I use some of these examples. So anyways, after the talk, one of the agents comes up and is like, can I just give you a hug? I didn't even know this about you. I didn't even know that you struggled with, your doubts. And
Did you give him a hug?
Yeah. Oh yeah. She was hugging me. I was like,
okay.
I was like, but, I was just being vulnerable, just
Right.
being open about, hey,
Right,
and
right.
it's just funny because we do think that, right? We do think that leaders, because nobody sees it, right? What we see is what people put on social media, which is their best, right? We don't see the struggles, right? And we don't see what's happening at home, and we don't see, right? And so I think that, I can't remember what your question was, but I thought that was really funny. It's like this just people being overconfident.
Arrogance,
Yeah.
right.
Well, and I think that some of that is probably overcompensating for some insecurities.
Yeah.
Right. Is that we kind of we're overconfident to avoid being vulnerable and admitting where we're weak.
Yeah.
And but you're right. I mean, I think that when I think of like the stereotypical motivational speaker, right? There's very little substance to what they ever say. It's all about tricking your mind to believing you're great.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just to me, that's just a bad place to lead from. Not saying that we have positive self-talk and all that stuff, but true confidence is really being secure and knowing what you're doing, that it's working and that, right. And we'll get to that as we go. But I think it does play into this false confidence. I think a lot of the overconfident people is probably because there's a false confidence and they're overcompensating for really not knowing what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, so question for you. You're now staring at your early 40s.
Yeah.
And look, there's plenty of time to get into this stuff, but really for you, like why are you confident today? What gives you confidence?
Well, I mean, right now, I mean, even, I think that part of the problem and part of the worry is when you're a leader and you have to make some changes and pivot and do some things, you don't see instant results, right? And that's where if you're not anchored in unconditional confidence, you're going to make it. It's just difficult. So like even now, so my reports for one of my companies didn't look good in August. Okay, it was a bad month on paper. However, all of the things that we're controlling are great, right?
Mm-hmm.
We made some decisions. We've, replaced some key people. We've changed some of our marketing. We've done all this stuff. We might not see the fruit for that for 6 months. And so my confidence has to be in that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
No, absolutely.
And so that's where the confidence comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And so, however, that's not easy. Right. I mean, I want to more than more than not, my confidence is coming from the balance in the bank account, the scoreboard, all these things.
Yeah.
And that's but that's just it's such a shaky place to have your confidence.
Well, but it's a signal that we get constantly everywhere we look, be it social media, which is probably the chief driver now at this point in our life of status.
Yeah.
And so what comes across in social media many times is just a broadcasting of status, right? So it's either, look at how pretty I am, or look at how wealthy I am, or look at how successful I am, or look at this amazing place I've gone, or this beautiful restaurant, or my beautiful family, or, so much of this really, and I'm being crude here, but at the end of the day, it really is like a status projection.
Yes.
And so when all we see, we're inundated with status projections, our mind can't help but go to this place of like, either I'm this or I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm successful or I'm not.
Yeah.
I've got high status or I don't.
Yeah.
But the reality of what you're saying is that the trick is that you've got to reorient yourself away from that projection into the controllable, the daily activities, the things that you can actually control, and then gain your confidence from saying, I've done this well, and this is what's given me confidence. All the other stuff is just downstream.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it, right? The question is, how do I sleep well at night and not go to bed worrying, right? And that's really it, is that confidence of, today I did everything that I was supposed to do.
Right.
I did, if you're in sales, right? I did all the calls I needed to make. I knocked on all the doors I needed to knock on. If you're, one of the things I share with my real estate agents is, listings are sitting longer than they have been, right? So how do you have confidence when you have a listing that hadn't had a showing in 2 months, right?
How do you?
Well, I think that, one is, we can't control the market.
Right.
We can't control interest rates.
Right.
We can't control buyers' appetites for buying. Mm-hmm. What we can control is our marketing.
How we're promoting. Yeah.
The house is clean. The house is available to show. My sellers I've set proper expectations with my sellers. See, those are things you can control, and you can go to bed at night being confident you've done everything you've done for this client.
Yeah.
And so but it's hard. That's not easy.
Right.
Because, you're like, especially when your income is tied to it, you're like, man. And then, so I think a lot of the controllables in sales is setting proper expectations.
Yeah.
Well,
I start to think about like maybe take winning a gold medal, right? So the picture on Instagram is you're biting the gold medal, you're celebrating, you're on top of the podium. Yeah. That's the picture, right? Yep. That's the what you're putting out in the world. That's the scoreboard.
That's the lag measure.
That's exactly right. That's you win the gold medal. That's what brings you the confidence. If anybody ever asks you, who you are, you just go rings, baby.
Yeah.
I got the gold medal.
Yeah.
But what's not shown nearly as much is, unless it's a Gatorade commercial, is like the work that goes in, the daily controllable that says, I'm going to get in an extra 100 shots today, or I'm going to work on, whatever it is today. That's what I can control. Yeah. And so that it's not quite the same post, right? Yeah. As the gold medal post.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you're right. And I think that's where on the outside looking in, people don't understand, right? They say, oh, well, this leader, this organization just has it easy now. They're taking these vacations, they're doing this stuff. Well, they don't see the 20 years of working 80 hours a week to get to this point.
To build the team.
Yeah. And we don't, and we don't want to wait. Like, our culture does not want to wait. They don't want to, they need the instant gratification. They need the instant payoff. They want to go, have margaritas on the beach in their 20s, not wait until they have some success and actually have the money, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And so it's almost a facade of success is what we see a lot of.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned you being in your 40s earlier because I do think that.
Thanks for the reminder.
In addition to the work that you've put in, there's obviously been successes, and I think that those don't hurt, right? It doesn't hurt to have a couple things you can hang your hat on where you can look back and say, look, I've obviously put in a lot of work, my heart and soul into these projects. And, I've had some pretty favorable outcomes. Some things haven't gone my way. Some things haven't worked out, but some things have worked out.
Sure.
And that's helped me fail and then iterate to the next thing, right? Even in my failure, I've learned something. I've learned that I shouldn't do that, right?
Yep.
But so I think that being in your 40s, there is the advantage there is that hopefully you've got some things that you can look back on and say, you know what, like these were great accomplishments.
Yeah.
And now I feel a little bit more seated. That's something I'm going through now, since I've been through, a big process of opening something and seeing it flourish. And now in the beginning, when it's shaky and rocky, I'm calm, much more calm than I would have been because I've been through it. I know what it looks like. I know how it shifts. I know what makes it.
Yeah.
I've seen failures, and I've tried to iterate from those failures. And so I think just even that for me is confidence building. There's no way that you can't take away from the daily controllables of, we got to get better every single day. We got to make fans every single day that people come in. We've got to make them feel like, we're different, and so I just think that the confidence does come a little easier as you get older, and you can look back not only on the successes, but also on your failures.
Yeah. Well, I think that your successes should be compounding. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why I'm enjoying my 40s more than I did my 30s.
Right.
And I did my 20s. Right. Is because my successes are starting to compound. Right. And so you think of, you guys expanding and opening stores. Well, it took 40 years before you had your second location. And then your third location came within 10 years.
Yeah.
And your next one should come within 5 years, right?
So,
so it's just compounding successes if it's done right. And so it's like, and that's just the lens I look through. And it's, if anything for me, it is taking the time to celebrate those successes and not just looking to what's next, because that's what I tend to do, right? And it offends people around me at times, because it's like, hey, I just busted my butt for a couple of years and got us here and played a part, and all you're doing is worried about what's next. And so I have to remind myself to to acknowledge, yes, that was some good stuff. We have done some good things. Hey, and then, and I'm really good at helping my team see through that lens. It's hard for me to see through that lens, but, helping my team say, hey, look, 6 months ago, look at where we're at.
Yeah.
And look at all the things we've done in just 6 months. We're a totally different company now, or a different division like we've done.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to, but it's difficult when you're in the weeds and you're working in the company and it's hard to see that, right? And so I think that we always have to have someone helping remind us of that. And that's why coaching is just a big deal for me, right? Because it forces me. Our conversations with Aaron start by celebrating wins. And he even has a little diagram. He's like, that's really the fuel that makes the train go.
Yeah.
Is celebrating these wins.
Yeah, and it's really difficult for me.
Hell yeah.
And I'm listening to you talk about, you just said, hey, we're a different company than we were, right? And so we'll back up.
Okay.
Let's back up.
Okay.
To be the type of person that would look in a scenario and say, in the future, I want to move towards this. I want to improve this. I want to get better at this. And I believe you are that person.
Sure.
I'm that same person.
Yes.
So to have those skills or that drive, maybe, I think naturally you have a blinder for looking back, because I don't want to look back. Like, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter. Like, it's like, well, sometimes it's funny, but ultimately I'm always looking forward.
Yeah.
And because I'm trying to move to a place, I'm trying to move to a higher, way of doing things.
Yeah.
And so I don't naturally have that tendency to look back and celebrate. I just could care less. Like, I don't even need you to tell me good job. Like, sometimes my dad will come and he'll be like, good job. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mean to be rude about it, but I just don't, like, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter to me. And so the challenge for me is exactly what you're saying, is that, if you're building morale, people want to know they're on a winning team.
Yeah.
And you have to celebrate.
Sure.
You have to pull over and go, hey, we did this thing. It was amazing. Everybody did a great job. The other day, I had a store manager took a bunch of guys out to dinner because it was like a crazy 2-3 months.
Yep.
They got through it, and here's a celebration piece. But that's not natural because your orientation is so much. You're so forward looking that I just don't. It's not that I don't care. Mm-hmm. It's just that I'm not. That's not what I'm interested in.
Yeah, and I would say it goes hand in hand. For me, it goes hand in hand with rest. I think that that's the two things that our type mindset and personalities and leaders and, just forward what's next is the art of celebrating and resting. And I think they go hand in hand. I think that you almost have to give yourself this capacity to just not be on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and I take pride in that part of it. Is that I learned, like I have to have a getaway to Dallas a couple times a year. Like I have to. Like I have to be able to unplug. I have to be able to go and to me the reason is because when I'm resting and celebrating and I'm just like enjoying where I'm at in life, and that's part of that is just celebrating. It's like, hey, this is some of this I can afford to go to this concert or go eat at this nice restaurant, and I can do these things because of all the hard work, right? And so yeah, that's hard. That is difficult. The resting is difficult for really successful people.
Yeah. Yeah. And you feel lazy. You feel like, oh man, I can't believe, it's like if I took an hour to even come in here, in a lot of ways, even coming here, I feel like this morning something happened. Yeah. It was tough. So I woke up my daughter. I was like, look, we're going to the store. We were there 6:30 in the morning just to check in and make sure everything was okay. But even here right now, I'm sitting here thinking, man, I shouldn't be away.
Yeah. Well, and I think that ultimately it's like, what does it really, like in the big picture, it doesn't matter, right? It does matter, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. Like, or really, what is what really does matter? Well, what really does matter is being present with your family and your relationship. I mean, that's what's really going to matter, right? And so it's like, well, do I need to stay, make that one more phone call, or do I have to go to that one more appointment, or is it better for me in the long run to dip out early and go be present at a ball game or whatever? You see what I'm saying? And so it's just kind of like, but yeah, that is because here's why. We can only sustain it for so long. And so I tell people, this is what I like to say is like, hey, either you're going to rest and take a break by your choosing, or you're going to be forced to. Right. Because eventually you're going to hit the wall. Yeah. When you're at the pace that you're going, right? Now, that's a good problem to have, because this is like somebody running and just crushing it and doing all those things, right? What's really frustrating is the opposite end, where you can't get anybody to do anything or motivate them at all. So this is a good thing. But, when I go back to this idea or this concept of my job is to keep runners running, they have to rest, right? I mean, I don't know a lot about running, the actual sport of running, but I'd imagine if you're a long distance runner, you're not doing it every single day, right? Your body has to recover. You got to take care. And it's the same way in business, is we have to be able to unplug. We have to be able to set up systems where we're not, everything to work right has to go through us and depend on us. Like, we just can't have that. It's not sustainable. Right. Either your business is going to crumble or you're going to crumble, or your relationships, everything. It's just going to fall apart. Yeah. And so I have this ability to see that. I have this ability to look, down the road and saying, hey, if we don't fix this process here, if we don't do this here, or we don't hire this person here, we're not going to be where we need to be in a year or 2 years or 3 years. And that's just kind of the gift I have.
Well, congratulations.
Well, I'm not saying it's good. That is my sweet spot.
To go on vacation. A lot.
A lot.
It's a great gift.
Oh, Yeah, 3 months is gonna be real difficult. I need another trip.
That's right. That's right. Well, listen, vision does not come for free. Okay,
Yes.
buddy, you got to go out there and get that vision.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, is that, even a lot of my ideas or clarity comes when I'm resting. Like it has to. Like, right? I mean, that's what early on, my team would hate it when I would go out of town. Because when I came back, I changed everything up, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's clarity, and you don't get clarity a lot of times when you're at work or you're at the in the routine, and and so you have to have that space.
Yeah, just the space to think critically about what you're doing in a different way, where you're not locked in it. Because when you're locked in it, sometimes it just feels like your opportunities for change, you don't really see them as clearly. You can't process a totally different idea, or you can't get the perspective of like going into a place like Dallas or any other market where you see something in a billboard and you go, they're doing what? Or for me, I'll see it on a truck. I'll see a truck carrying something and I'll be like, they're doing that? Like, well, that's interesting. So sometimes that inspiration can come in a lot of different ways.
No, I get it.
But to step away, sometimes you have to step away so that you can be open to receive that inspiration.
Yeah, and enjoy it, And but it's hard, right? And I have a team member where we're actually having a meeting this afternoon. It's like she took a 2-week vacation, but literally worked the whole time, right? And we're growing so fast in this division that I know the wheels are going to fall off within the next 6 months if we don't change something quickly, because we're growing really fast, and this person has everything going through them for the company to work.
Yeah.
And so that's scaling. That's and it's funny is in an ideal world, I can take someone or and say, hey, this we need to hire someone so you can put some stuff on your boat, or we need to do this, or we need to put this in your schedule, we need to make some changes. And they would be like, oh yeah, great, thanks for the insight, I'll learn from your mistakes and avoid them.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen. They don't see it, right? And they're like, no, I just going to keep doing it this way. And then they have to learn it the hard way. They have to feel those worrisome nights, those stressful times, and then say, man, I don't want to feel that way again, so I'm going to make some changes.
Yeah.
Or health concerns. I mean, dude, you think of just people dying early from unknown causes, and a lot of that's just from stress.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's just a wild place to live in, and man, it's just not enjoyable. But I'll also say this: some people don't know any different. Like they don't know. They don't know. Like, that's why I say it's an art. Resting is an art.
Yeah.
They don't know how to unplug. They don't even know. They're like, well, if my phone wasn't ringing all the time, I don't even know what I would do. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
and many times, although that you appreciate the care and the investment, the engagement.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's misplaced priorities in life. Sometimes this is like the only thing that I really, might have going at the moment that's going good.
Yeah.
Because maybe at home things aren't going well, and this is something that I've got. And now this thing is burning me. Yeah. And we can appreciate from a kind of larger, Judeo-Christian framework that it's all idols. It's all idols all the way down.
Sure.
And everything that we're putting into it, be it for me, it's a love of music. Music is always going to let me down.
Sure.
Be it your relationships, if that's where your trust is in, it's always going to let you down.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times with the people that you're talking about, sometimes it is that misplaced priority of now this is going south.
Yeah.
So that frustration and what you're saying, keep the runner running. How do they engage with the work in a meaningful way, but then also be able to draw the line to recharge?
Yeah. Well, and it's a good problem to have, right? Because having the conversation is, hey, you need to rest. I mean, that means that they're busting their butt for my company, which is a great.
Absolutely.
But I have to say, hey, listen, I need you rested and charged 40 to 45 hours a week.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to happen if you're working on the weekends.
Right.
That's not going to happen if you're constantly on call.
Yeah.
And so, hey, you're going on a vacation. I don't want you calling up here. I don't want them calling you.
Yeah.
And then it goes, okay, well, let's plan for it. What do we need to do to plan for it? Well, let's have the conversations now. Hey, they're going out of town. You're responsible for this. You're responsible for this. If there's and so it's just having a plan and planning for it. And that's why there's an art to it. There's an art to resting and unplugging, and to celebrating and all those things.
Yeah.
And it's not going to happen naturally for type A people.
Right. So
Not gonna happen.
That's in our challenge, or the challenge for a business owner listening in, is this idea that, yeah, absolutely, you're the vision, you're forward thinking, you're pushing forward, you're trying to get it better. Like I've got 100 things I want to make better.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the ability to look backwards, to encourage people to rest on your own, and then encourage them to have the outlets for rest to come to work fully engaged. I think that's our challenge. I think this is where this sits.
Yeah.
How confidence plays into this. We kind of got off onto a little side tangent. I do think it lumps together.
Yeah.
Because it does take somebody who is confident in what they're doing to be able to look back and to be able to pour that into other people.
Sure.
Because if you're unconfident and you got somebody that's coming to you and they're burnt out and they need to take a week off, you're like, you can't leave. They can't leave. They can't leave.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You feel the fear of like, I don't want them to leave.
Yeah.
I don't want them to leave.
His principle here for confidence is faith plus belief equals confidence, right? And so it's really and how do you gain the faith or the belief? How can you go out of town and have a confidence of leaving? Well, of course, it goes back into controllables. Is your team prepared? Did you hire the right people? Have you trained them? Have you set up the right processes? Have you done all these things, right? So, it's always going to come back to the controllables, the things you can control. And so whenever we talk about conditional confidence, our confidence is tied to something that we don't directly control, right? So our confidence is tied to being able to sell a listing real quick, right? Well, when that listing doesn't sell real quick because of interest rates or market, right?
Yeah.
Our confidence is shot.
Yeah.
Right. And it's really a pendulum swing, and it goes both ways. Either we don't hit the goal and now we feel down on ourselves and shame and we feel like we're less than, or we crush the goal and now we're prideful and we kind of are big-headed. Oh, look what I did, right? And so it's these two unhealthy places to really live in.
Yeah. I'm on the baseball team. I didn't go to practice. First game I show up, I smack a double.
Yeah. That's horrible.
Next time I come up, smack a single. And I'm like, you know what?
Yeah, there you go.
I'm pretty good.
Who needs practice?
Who needs practice? I don't need practice. Look at what I just did.
Yeah.
It's that same kind of mentality, right?
Yeah.
If you're linking things that aren't, you're seeing the success, but it's not linked to the work.
Yep. Yeah. No, 100%. And I think that's really when we talk about unconditional confidence, is tying your confidence to those things that really matter on a daily basis and the things that you can control.
Yeah.
It's not outside factors. And because there are going to be, if our only measuring stick is our monthly financial report, the same thing, right? Either we did great, all right, I'm prideful, we got it going, or we didn't do great. And we didn't do great. Okay, well, because, this happened, that we had a huge expense that we had no control over.
Mm-hmm.
Your
external factor, economy.
Yeah, external, the vehicle broke down, or an employee got in a wreck, or did whatever it is, right? Yes. And we're letting those things shake our confidence.
Yep, 100%.
And that's where worry comes from.
And the last stage, from false confidence to conditional confidence, we'll go real quickly, is unconditional confidence.
Unconditional confidence.
The last stage.
Yeah. And so I think that's really, is doing those things. I mean, I think the first step in this is preparing, is really just knowing what your abilities what you are good at and what you're wired, your strengths, and how they're tied to your daily activities and what those activities are. And ultimately, those activities should be tied to the overall goal and moving the needle.
Yep.
Right. And so that's what we focus on. I remember listening to a real estate coach and motivational speaker, Brian Buffini, and I was through his program for a while. But he says, he had an accountability partner. And he said, one day, just everything, when he was doing sales, everything lined up, and I had 8 closings in one day. Like, it just all lined up, 8 closings in one day. And his accountability partner called him that day and said, well, did you do your hour of prospecting? And he said, no, I had 8 closings. He said, well, then you didn't work today. Right?
Yeah.
And that's true. Because when you think of sales, the commission check is it's a lag. It's a trail behind that you did what you're supposed to do 6 months ago on a day, right?
Right.
So that's where the confidence comes from, is knowing, hey, I did everything I was supposed to do to move that needle. I can go to bed tonight knowing that what I did today is going to pay off for me in the future. Mm-hmm. And when we don't, then we go to bed worried.
That's right.
Where's the next check going to come from?
That's right.
That's right. What's next month's report's going to look like?
Yep. So building unconditional confidence is the point of what we've been talking about here today.
Yep.
And it seems that the way to build this is ultimately start with your focus, start with your controllables, pay less attention to the lag measures, more attention to the lead measures, more attention to your preparation, more attention to how you are coming in and how you are, you're projecting that confidence
your
out
energy.
to others. Your energy. Watching your energy.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
all of those things seem to be so important.
Yeah, and we know that as leaders, whether we want to or not, our team is picking up on whatever that energy we're bringing.
That's right.
Right? 100%. And then and I'll get frustrated. I'll get frustrated. It's like, well, why wasn't that decision made? Why wasn't that implemented? Why wasn't that done? Well, they were picking up on my energy about worrying about the cash flow, so they didn't want to spend the money.
Right.
Like, well, we got to spend the money, right?
Yeah.
But they're just picking up. And so they're like kind of making their own decisions based off of guessing what I'm wanting.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel. And then I want to blame them, but ultimately it's my fault as the leader. I'm the one that set that chain of events to lead us where we're at.
Right. So do better, man. Do better. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, I just need a hug. I just need a hug.
That's hilarious.
I didn't know anything ever went wrong for you.
That's hilarious. Can I just give you a hug? Listen,
hey,
you know what I
appreciate that.
These arm things really.
Yeah.
It's in between.
No, it's okay. I'll sit next to you next time.
Okay. All right, man.
Do we have any shout outs? Anything? On the last episode, I gave a shout out to Ono's, but yeah, hey, look. Go try it out.
I'm excited.
And May & Co. We got to try both of those.
Yes,
two restaurants to our rotation.
I know. And look,
isn't that exciting?
You can bring one in.
You got to bring one in.
Yes.
And now it's just like, hey, let's talk about preparing, right? Well, we got to get some dates on the calendar to go try these places out.
I am excited.
Hey, and May & Co.'s open for lunch.
Okay.
That's a big one.
Okay.
I bet Ono's is too.
You know what? I'm going to do a quick shout out.
Yeah.
I think I've got one.
Let's do it.
So my wife sent me the Mahaffey Farms. How do you say this? Fete?
Yes. Yeah. Y'all have invited me to that.
10 years for Fete on the Farm.
Yes.
Evan, who runs Mahaffey Farms out there, is an incredible guy.
Yes.
He's been so influential in Shreveport in terms of kind of his mentality and what he's brought to the restaurant worlds here.
Sure.
We're big fans of food, so we're thankful to Evan and all that he and his team has done. Mahaffey Farms is right down the street from our Halton store.
Yes.
He supported our barbecue several times. Amazing guy.
Where is in fact he's on the Old Country Club.
He is. Yeah.
The Halton Country Club.
Right. Yeah. So they've got their
I had an opportunity to buy that place before they did.
Well,
probably should have.
There you go.
I would have had my own golf course. I've been like the Trump of Halton.
October 27th.
Okay,
I don't know when this episode's
27th.
coming out, but from 5 to 8, they're having their 10th Fate on the Farm dinner.
Yes, and if you haven't been, it's really cool because you literally are on their campus and get to see their operation and then you get to eat their animals.
That's right. Celebrity chefs coming in. His big thing is slow food, and thinking about the way that food's prepared. Food is farmed. And so I love Evan and those guys out there. So that's my
Yes,
shout out.
I love it. Yep, it's a good time. October 27th. I need to put that on my calendar, and I need to go to that as well.
Here we go.
I've been twice. One time was a crazy rainstorm, so it was inside. That was very strange. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were like at this like top floor. We did
Top
talk
floor?
about what Blake was talking about, rubbing shoulders. I mean, that was a pretty intimate dinner.
Yeah.
With the rain. I remember there was a high school student there with her family that had one of those babies from school, like training baby that kept crying. I was like, what is going on? Like, this is a scene. Yeah.
Go put it in the car.
Yeah. Then the other time we went, it was very warm. Very hot out.
It was warm.
Very warm.
Yeah. And they did a buried, Ono's did a buried pig, right? They buried the pig in the ground.
Yeah.
It was
so
awesome.
cool. Yeah, it was awesome.
Great.
So, looking forward to that 27th.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good. See you.
See you.